Today's video is Paedophiles on Merseyside part 3. I said half jokingly last week that you know, there'll probably be another case next week for me to cover, and unfortunately there is, but this week again it's still in Judge Gary Woodhall's courtroom. He actually gave a paedophile prison time, so you know it weren't long, but at least it's better than the last two cases we've covered. And like I said last week, it's as if he doesn't view child pornography the same way he does when an actual predator, paedophile, pedophile, whatever you want to call them, is actually physically abusing and grooming a child, which to me is mental, because people who view child porn are no better. Every image of child pornography is a child, sometimes an animal, being molested, being raped, being hurt. And if it weren't for people who view it, pay for it, then you know it's supply and demand. But this week it's not about child sex images. It's about a maths teacher. So if I look to this side, it's just my notes on the laptop. So a maths teacher groomed and exploited a little girl during what's being described by the judge as a sickening campaign of manipulation. The abuse lasted 4 years, and it doesn't say why, but it does state many times that the girl was emotionally vulnerable. I don't know what that means, but it says it a lot. So the maths teacher is Richard Chipchase, aged 55, from Prenton on the Wirral. And one incident, in his classroom he had a storeroom, and he locked this little girl in the storeroom because she wouldn't give him a hug. He groomed her for, you know, a few years. He'd give her lifts in his car, he'd buy her McDonald's, alcohol, cigarettes. So Richard Chipchase was head of maths at Woodchurch High School, and he singled the girl out from year 7. He gave her preferential treatment, such as getting away without doing the homework. He allowed her to listen to music in the classroom. He'd compliment her, say that she was really pretty. And during a mock exam, on a post-it note, he wrote his mobile number and he gave it to her, and then from then they were texting back and forth. So the girl said that in year 7 he was just really friendly with her, and he said to her, if you need anyone to talk to, I'm always here, you can always come to me. He'd also let her go into the storeroom, and inside there, you know, he kept chocolate and sweets and stuff, and he let her go in and help herself to whatever she wanted. This case is just mind-blowing. So as she moved to year 8, things shifted in the relationship, and then towards the end of year 8 concerns had been raised about the amount of time the two of them spent together, and the girl was told by another teacher at the school to stop spending time with him and that she should go straight home. So I assume by that she was staying after class to maybe help him clean up the room or whatever. Why did this teacher say it to the child? Why didn't the teacher say to the, to Chipchase, listen, I don't like what you're doing with this child, back off, or report him or something? Don't put the responsibility on the child. So, like I said, he had gave her his mobile number, and then another adult found out. His girlfriend found out that they were texting each other and that he was giving her lifts home and, spending a lot of time with her, and he backed off for a while. Again, did the girlfriend view this child as competition instead of, hang on, my boyfriend's grooming a child, I need to report it? But that weren't the case. In year 11, the school got a different building, and the classroom he was moved into to teach maths was it was a room that didn't have a storeroom like his other classroom did. So this meant that they were spending more and more time together outside of the school, because there was nowhere private really for them to go. So after the incident when he locked her in the storeroom, the girl became scared of him, and she started to feel that something was wrong. On one occasion, he was driving her home and he put his hand up her skirt and he touched her in a private area. She pushed him away from her and he just laughed. He laughed because, what's the girl gonna do? What's anyone gonna do? You've got a teacher at school who's suspicious and not doing nothing. You've got the girlfriend who knows about the texting and the bads and all that and not doing nothing. After this, he continued to try and hug her. He'd stroke her arm, stroke her back, kiss her on top of her head. He'd write her letters and give her like DVDs and books, and inside one book he gave her, he actually wrote, "I hope you enjoy this, love, R, kiss." By now the girl had a boyfriend, and Chipchase would always ask if they've had sex yet, and this made the girl feel really uncomfortable. In a victim impact statement, the girl said to the court that this long-term abuse had really affected mental health, and it affected the relationship with the parents as well, because he'd always say, "Oh, your parents don't understand you the way I do," which is something they all say. The girl didn't say nothing because she didn't think anyone would believe her, and she thought she might be blamed for it. And judging by this teacher putting the responsibility on her, I don't blame her feeling that way. I really don't. So the abuse didn't stop until Chipchase started grooming another girl, and it's this other girl's auntie who reported him to the school for inappropriate behaviour with her niece. So there was an investigation by the Independent Safeguarding Authority, Chipchase was dismissed and he had his teaching licence taken away from him. So the police contacted the first girl who had been abused since she was 7, but she didn't mention about the abuse in the car when he put his hands up his skirt and that. So the police just left it. Last year the girl contacted Wirral Council to say about the abuse, and Chipchase was interviewed by the police. So the other day, Judge Gary Woodall, he jailed him for 27 months, which isn't good. It's he'll just do over a year. He pleaded guilty to 4 charges of sexual activity with a child between 2007 and 2010. His defence said that he's got no other offences, which is very reminiscent of other paedophiles. They don't get in trouble like that, keep their noses clean. That's why when it does get to court and there's nothing there, they're like, oh, he's not really criminal, he's not really this, and the judge, the court judges, magistrates all go easy on them. So yeah, his defence said, he's got no other offences, and he's got a new partner now, and he's got a son. And I'm thinking, does your new partner know what you've done? What you are? I wouldn't stand by him. I'd take my son and run. So Judge Gary Woodall said, quote, "You abused and manipulated your position of trust in order to groom and then exploit this vulnerable young girl over a number of years for your own sexual gratification. You targeted her because you identified her as vulnerable." He also said, "Your sexual conduct with the child began when she was 12 until she was 15. He has to sign the sex offenders register for 10 years. Again, I think if you've got to sign the sex offenders register, it needs to be for life. Because these ages don't suddenly, disappear. And the judge also imposed a sexual harm prevention order for 7 years. I just think the sentencing is just, you've got this girl who's so brave to contact the council and say about the abuse. And then you've got the other girl who's contacted. I just think, how many more has he groomed? Maybe not got to the point of the abuse, but certainly how many more has he been grooming? Because I bet it's more than these 2. Guaranteed. And I also think he's become a teacher in a secondary school, specifically with the aim of having all these little girls to groom. And I can't believe his girlfriend, who knew that he was texting a child a lot, and then the teacher who knew what was going on and told the girl to stop it. It's sick. I just can't. I mean, at least he's in prison for a little bit, but it's not enough. I hope this girl who blew the whistle is able to live a happy, successful life because when you abuse a child like this, it kills something in them. No adult has got any right to touch a child like this, to groom a child. Sick. Anyway, I'll see you in my next one. Have a good weekend.